Here's your Nightwolf Mysteries number 3 written in your long, continuous format and part of the beta storyline. Nightwolf Mysteries number 3. This is part of the beta storyline, part 1 of part 4 of Saga 1. The water along the docks of Jackson City had always been dangerous, but lately it had become something else entirely. Ships reported system failures, navigation errors, and strange signals interfering with their equipment. At first, it was blamed on faulty tech or poor maintenance, but then came the sightings, something moving beneath the surface, something fast, something watching. Nightwolf stood at the edge of the harbor, looking out over the dark water. His suit's sensors scanned beneath the surface, picking up fragments of movement that didn't match any known marine life. There was something down there, and it wasn't natural. A sudden surge hit his systems. Interference, just like the reports. Screens flickered, signals distorted, and then he saw it. A shape moved through the water, sleek and precise, far too controlled to be an animal. Then it rose. The figure emerged slowly, water cascading off metallic surfaces. It looked like a mermaid, but not one of myth. Its upper body was humanoid, but enhanced with cybernetic plating, glowing lines of energy running across its frame. Its lower half was a mechanical tail, segmented and powerful, designed for speed and precision. Its eyes glowed faintly, scanning, calculating. A cybernetic mermaid. Nightwolf didn't move, watching carefully as it studied him in return. This wasn't a random creature. This was designed, built. "You're far from where you belong," he said calmly. The response was immediate. The creature let out a sharp, digital screech, and the water around it surged unnaturally, waves pushing outward as if reacting to its presence. Then it attacked. It moved with incredible speed, launching itself from the water toward the dock. Nightwolf reacted instantly, rolling aside as it crashed down, its mechanical tail smashing into the ground with enough force to crack the concrete. He countered with a precise strike, but the blow glanced off reinforced plating. The creature spun, its tail whipping toward him, forcing him back. Its movements were fluid, almost elegant, but calculated like a machine. Nightwolf adjusted. Switching to combat analysis mode, he tracked its movement patterns. The creature wasn't just attacking. It was adapting, learning from every exchange. This wasn't just a machine. There was intelligence behind it. The fight shifted back toward the water. The creature dove in and out of the harbor, striking from below, using the environment to its advantage. Nightwolf used grappling lines to stay mobile, avoiding being pulled under. Then he noticed it. Every time the creature resurfaced, there was a slight delay in its movement, a fraction of a second where its systems recalibrated. A weakness. Small, but enough. He waited. The creature surged upward again, faster than before, aiming to drag him into the water. But this time, Nightwolf was ready. As it emerged, he deployed an electromagnetic pulse directly into its core. The effect was immediate. The glowing lines across its body flickered violently. Its movements stuttered, losing their fluid precision. It let out another distorted sound, part mechanical, part almost human, as it struggled to maintain control. Nightwolf didn't hesitate. He followed up with a second, more concentrated pulse, targeting the same point. The creature froze mid-motion, its systems failing as the energy disrupted its internal functions. For a moment, it hovered there, suspended between movement and stillness. Then it collapsed, falling back into the water with a heavy splash. The harbor went quiet. Nightwolf scanned the area, tracking the sinking form until it disappeared into the depths. No further movement, no signals, just silence. But as he reviewed the data his suit had collected, something stood out. The technology used in the creature wasn't random. It was advanced. Too advanced for street-level criminals, too precise to be an accident. Just like Kilo Glitch, just like the ice cream creature. Different forms, different methods, same pattern. Someone was creating these things. Nightwolf looked out over the dark water, his expression unreadable beneath the mask. This wasn't just a series of mysteries anymore. It was a trail, and he was getting closer to whoever was behind it. If you want next, I can write Nightwolf Mysteries number 4, where Nightwolf finally finds the lab or person creating these anomalies, and it starts tying directly into a major villain like the Brain or Victor Halden. Here's your Nightwolf Mysteries number 4, written in your long, continuous format and part of the beta storyline. Night. Here's your Nightwolf Mysteries number 4, written in your long, continuous format and part of the beta storyline. Nightwolf Mysteries number 4. This is part of the beta storyline, part 1 of part 4 of Saga 1. Jackson City had seen strange things before, but this was something that shouldn't have been possible. Red Mist was back. The reports came in scattered at first. Security cameras malfunctioning, red vapor slipping through alleyways, people collapsing with no visible attacker. Ironcrest Penitentiary was the first place Nightwolf checked, and what he found confirmed it. The containment unit that once held Adrian Humes had been breached. Not broken, not destroyed, but somehow bypassed. There were no signs of forced escape. Residue. Red Mist. Nightwolf stood in silence for a moment, analyzing the cell. His mind moved quickly through the possibilities. Adrian Humes had been contained in human form. Stabilized. Watched. There was no reason for the transformation to happen again, unless something triggered it. Or someone did. He reviewed the security footage. At first, everything looked normal. Adrian sat alone, still quiet. Then, without warning, his body began to distort, breaking apart, dissolving into that same red vapor. No external interference, no visible cause, just a sudden violent return to what he once was. And then he was gone. Nightwolf moved fast. Tracking Red Mist was never about footprints or evidence. It was about patterns. Areas of sudden weakness, unexplained suffocation, systems malfunctioning in enclosed spaces. It didn't take long before the trail led him back to the same place it all started. The lab. Abandoned. Sealed. Forgotten by everyone except the one person who couldn't escape it. Inside, the air was already thick. Red vapor clung to the walls, shifting slowly like it was alive. Because it was. You came back, Nightwolf said, his voice calm, controlled. The mist reacted instantly. It pulled together, forming a vague humanoid shape in front of him. The outline flickered, unstable, barely holding itself together. I didn't want this. The voice came, distorted and broken, echoing from everywhere at once. Adrian was still in there, but not fully. The mist surged forward suddenly, lashing out. Nightwolf moved with precision, dodging as the vapor struck past him, corroding surfaces it touched. He didn't counterattack immediately. He observed, measured, waited. Red Mist wasn't fighting like before. The attacks were erratic, unfocused, like something inside him was breaking apart even further. You're losing control, Nightwolf said. No, control. The voice echoed, louder now, more unstable. That was the key. Nightwolf activated his suit's containment protocols, releasing compact dispersal units around the room. They activated one by one, creating controlled airflow patterns, forcing the mist into specific zones, limiting its spread. Red Mist reacted violently, expanding outward, trying to escape, but the system held. You don't have to stay like this, Nightwolf said, stepping forward carefully. For a moment, the mist hesitated. Just a moment. Then it surged again, stronger, desperate. Nightwolf made his move. He triggered a focused stabilization pulse, based on the data he had gathered from the lab and Adrian's previous condition. It wasn't designed to destroy. It was designed to force cohesion. The red mist began to collapse inward. The vapor twisted, compressed, pulled together as if something unseen was forcing it back into shape. The distorted voice turned into a scream, no longer mechanical, no longer scattered, but human. And then it stopped. Where the mist had been, a figure collapsed to the ground. Adrian Humes, human, unconscious. Nightwolf approached slowly, scanning, stable, for now. The readings were still unstable beneath the surface, but the transformation had reversed. Somehow. For now, Adrian was back. Sirens echoed in the distance. Nightwolf had already alerted the authorities. This time, there would be no mistakes, no gaps, no unknown variables left unchecked. As the police secured the area and took Adrian back into custody, Nightwolf remained in the shadows, watching. Ironcrest Penitentiary would hold him again, but this time, things were different. Because now Nightwolf knew the truth. This wasn't random. Adrian didn't just turn back into Red Mist. Something made it happen. And whoever, or whatever, was behind it, was still out there. If you want next, I can write Nightwolf Mysteries number 5, where Nightwolf finally tracks the person responsible for all these anomalies. Kilo Glitch, Ice Creature, Cyber Mermaid, Red Mist, and it starts connecting to a major villain mastermind. Here's your Warrior number 1, written in your long, continuous format and part of the beta storyline. Warrior number 1. This is part of the beta storyline, part 1 of part 4 of Saga 1. Westport City was not a place that believed in myths, gods, or ancient evils. It was a smaller city, often overshadowed by the larger presence of West Haven nearby, but it had its own rhythm, its own people, its own quiet sense of safety. That sense of safety was beginning to crack. Strange events had begun appearing across the city, fires that burned without fuel, shadows that moved against the light, whispers heard in empty streets. People reported seeing a figure in the darkness, something not human, something watching. Most dismissed it as fear, rumor, or imagination. Princess Elena Cross did not. She stood atop a building overlooking the city, armor gleaming faintly under the night sky. She had felt it the moment she arrived, an unnatural presence, something ancient and malicious. This was not a modern threat. This was something older, something demonic. The name had come to her through whispers, through fragments of energy she recognized from the old world. Diabolus, a creature not born of this world, but one that had found its way into it. The ground below trembled slightly, and Elena's grip tightened around her weapon. She didn't hesitate. She moved. The disturbance led her to an abandoned section of the city, where buildings stood empty and the air felt heavier. The moment she stepped into the area, the temperature dropped. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the ground, twisting and shifting as if alive. Then she saw it. Diabolus emerged from the darkness slowly, its form towering and monstrous. Its body was made of shifting shadow and fire, horns curving upward from its head, eyes glowing with a deep, burning red. Its presence alone warped the space around it. "You do not belong in this world," Elena said firmly, her voice carrying authority. The creature let out a low, echoing laugh, the sound reverberating unnaturally. "This world will fall like all the others," it replied, its voice layered and distorted. It attacked without warning. A wave of dark fire surged toward her, but Elena charged forward instead of retreating, her strength cutting through the flames as if they were nothing. She closed the distance instantly, striking with force that sent a shockwave through the ground. Diabolus staggered but did not fall. It retaliated with brutal power, claws slashing through the air, each strike carrying enough force to tear through steel. Elena blocked, countered, moved with precision. This was not just a fight, it was a test of power. The demon adapted quickly, shifting its form, becoming less solid, more chaotic. It tried to overwhelm her with sheer force, with fear, with its presence. But Elena Cross did not fear. She stood her ground, calling upon the power granted to her, the divine strength of Zeus flowing through her. Her strikes became stronger, faster, more precise. Each blow pushed Diabolus back, weakening its hold on the world. "You prey on fear," she said, stepping forward as the creature hesitated. "But I am not afraid of you." With a final surge of power, she drove forward, striking directly through the core of its form. The impact sent a burst of energy outward, the divine force clashing against the demonic presence. Diabolus let out a final, enraged roar as its form began to break apart, the shadows unraveling, the fire fading. "This is not the end," it growled as it dissipated into nothingness. Silence returned to Westport City. The unnatural weight in the air lifted. The shadows returned to normal. The city, for now, was safe again. Elena stood still for a moment, scanning the area. The threat was gone, but its presence lingered in memory. This was not an isolated event. Something had allowed a demon like Diabolus to enter this world, and if one could come through, others could follow. Princess Elena Cross turned her gaze toward the horizon, toward the wider world beyond Westport City. Her mission was no longer just about war. It was about protecting this world from forces far older and far darker than anything it had faced before. If you want next, I can. Write Warrior number 2. Here's your Warrior number 2, written in your long, continuous format and part of the beta storyline. Warrior number 2. This is part of the beta storyline, part 1 of part 4 of Saga 1. Westport City had returned to normal on the surface, but Princess Elena Cross knew better. Ever since the fall of Diabolus, the balance between worlds felt thinner, weaker, as if something unseen had been disturbed. She walked alone through a quiet park on the edge of the city just before dawn, the sky dim and the air still. This place felt different, calm, but not empty. There was a presence here, not hostile, not aggressive, but watching. Elena stopped. "I know you're here," she said, her voice steady. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the wind shifted, the leaves rustled without cause, and a faint glow appeared between the trees. Out of the mist stepped a creature unlike anything she had seen before. It was a dog, but not entirely. Its form was elegant and slightly translucent, its body outlined with a soft, spiritual glow. Markings of light traced along its fur, shifting like energy. Its eyes were calm, ancient, and intelligent. It was not a beast, it was a spirit. The creature approached slowly, its movements silent, almost weightless. It stopped a short distance from her, studying her just as she studied it. "You are not from this land," Elena said quietly. The spirit tilted its head slightly as if understanding her. "I am called Raycon," a voice echoed, not spoken but felt, resonating in her mind. Elena did not reach for her weapon. She could feel no malice, no darkness, only purpose. "Why have you come here, Raycon?" The spirit moved past her, circling once before facing her again. The air around them shifted, and for a brief moment, Elena saw something else, visions flickering like reflections, a barrier weakening, shadows crossing between worlds, forces slipping through cracks that should not exist. The vision faded as quickly as it came. "The balance is breaking," Raycon's voice echoed again. "Your world and others are no longer separate." Elena's expression hardened slightly. She had already suspected as much. "Diabolus," she said. "That was not supposed to happen." "No," Raycon replied. "And it will not be the last." The spirit stepped closer, its presence calm but firm. "I am a guardian of the veil between worlds. I do not belong here, but I am needed here now." Elena nodded slowly. She understood. She had left her own world once to protect another. This was no different. "Then we share the same purpose," she said. For the first time, the spirit seemed to relax, its form glowing slightly brighter. But the moment was cut short. A sudden ripple passed through the air, sharp, unnatural. Both Elena and Raycon turned instantly. The energy was wrong, not demonic like Diabolus, but unstable. A distortion appeared at the edge of the park, the air bending inward, as if something was trying to force its way through. Elena stepped forward immediately, ready for battle, but Raycon moved faster, placing itself between her and the distortion. "This one is not yours," the spirit said. The distortion pulsed again, then collapsed suddenly, leaving nothing behind. Silence returned, but the message was clear. Something was trying to come through, and something was holding it back. Raycon turned back to Elena. "There are many forces at work now," it said. "Some will destroy, some will protect. You must be ready for both." Elena looked out across the city, her mind already moving ahead. "This world is changing," she said. "Yes," Raycon replied, "and you are now part of what keeps it from falling." For a moment, neither moved. Warrior and spirit, standing in quiet understanding. Then, without another word, Raycon began to fade, its form dissolving into light until it vanished completely. Elena remained where she stood, the weight of what she had learned settling in. Demons, spirits, distortions between worlds. This was no longer just a battle of strength. It was a war for balance itself, and it had only just begun. If you want next, I can. Right, Warrior number 3?
Yeah.
Maybe Elena teams up with Raycon against a bigger spirit, demon threat. Or connect this directly to the Cosmic or Torch storyline. Fear, death, etc.
Mentally impaired on the internet. I'll get you guys later. Goodbye.
Here's Warrior number 3, written in your continuous long story format, part of the beta storyline. Warrior number 3. This is part of the beta storyline, part 1 of part 4 of Saga 1. Westport City had grown quiet after the morning mist cleared. Princess Elena Cross, still attuned to the world beyond, walked along the cliffs just outside the city, where the horizon met the rising sun. The golden light reflected off the waves below, but Elena's eyes were drawn to something far older than the modern city. A hidden temple carved into the cliffside, partially overgrown by vines and roots. She approached cautiously, feeling the weight of history in the air. The structure hummed with power, a faint vibration that resonated through her chest. Inside, a single pedestal stood before a statue. The statue was impressive, brown and golden tones, its face regal and fierce, its posture commanding. It represented one of the great Amazon queens, her great-grandmother, whose legacy had been whispered in the halls of the Amazonian courts for generations. The pedestal held an object that seemed almost alive, a sword. Its handle was brown, adorned with golden spikes that glinted in the sunlight streaming through the temple's openings. Embedded in the handle and the blade were red gems, pulsing faintly, as if connected to Elena herself. The sword radiated an energy she could feel in her veins. It was ancient, powerful, and calling to her. Elena reached out, her hand hovering over the hilt. She felt a surge of knowledge, not just power, but memory, wisdom, and warning. The sword had chosen her. As she grasped it, the temple walls seemed to shimmer, revealing carvings that had been hidden for centuries. Scenes of battles between angels and demons were etched into the stone, great warriors falling, sky cities aflame, celestial beings clashing with infernal forces. From the pedestal, a small leather-bound book had also appeared. She picked it up carefully, sensing the gravity of its contents. The pages told the story of the Eternal War, a conflict waged beyond mortal sight, between angels of light and demons of shadow. It spoke of portals opening into the human realm, of battles that tipped the balance of entire civilizations, and of champions chosen to wield powers capable of turning the tide. The sword in her hand seemed to resonate with the book, as if affirming that she was now part of this legacy. Each spike, each red gem, was a marker of strength and responsibility. The sword was not just a weapon, it was a symbol, a connection to her ancestors, and a tool to face threats that even the most trained Amazon might never have encountered. Elena stepped outside the temple as the sun crested fully above the horizon, casting a warm amber glow over the city below. In her hand, the sword felt balanced and alive, as if it had been waiting for this moment for centuries. The book she held whispered in her mind, revealing only fragments of prophecy. The line of queens shall rise in times of darkness. The sword will awaken, and the chosen shall confront what walks between worlds. Angels may fall, and demons may flee, but the warrior must stand. Elena looked out toward the city she had sworn to protect, feeling the weight of her ancestors, the power in her hand, and the responsibilities now resting on her shoulders. She was ready. The day had begun, and the shadows, both human and otherworldly, were already stirring. If you want next, I can write Warrior Number 4, where Elena faces her first direct supernatural threat, using the sword and the knowledge from the book, tying her story more closely to the demonic and angelic war threads of the Beta storyline.
What are you watching, Mom?